going to kick Sephiroth's ass. Going on, it's your king in the night, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, and we got some new subscribers, so thank you for subscribing, whoever did. So we got that going on, and I want to come back to YouTube with a brand new video, because I need to get back in the Final Fantasy 13 spirit, considering I did too many 15s and too many 7s, even sometimes a little bit too much of 10s in Dissidia and whatever's going on. So I kind of want to bring the attention back to Final Fantasy 13. So we're going to be talking about the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains. And this includes 15, I don't care, don't try to argue with me. It's still part of the Fabula Crystallis Novia. Deal with it. That's the way I believe. So there's my disclaimer right there. So what is the main purpose of the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains? I think the main purpose of the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains were to actually test out their hero. To make their hero, pretty much to change their hero, to make their hero better than what they are, to better the hero of their series, even though they do horrible things, such as Sid Olestein framing Type Zero for the death of a political figure, or Bartandalonis' purge of his own people in order to get the attention of the Lassie, or Arden's Star Scourge that affected the whole world for 3,000 years, as well as war and all the horrible stuff. Yes, no doubt that the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains were horrible villains. And one thing I like about Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy villains are truly evil. They have no chill at all. They will do all and anything to make sure their goals and agendas are passed. Now, we don't know. I still am not under the notion that Arden was trying to turn Noctis into the true king. I think he only wanted to turn to the true king so he could have the Ring of Lucii after Noctis is dead, and he'd be the only Lucius Caelum to actually possess the ring and actually steal its power and become what he wanted to become. But he'd keep the Star Scourge up because, well, he's a demon himself. But that's not the point. The point is, Arden, but indirectly, everything Arden has done, from helping Noctis, from manipulating the Niflheim Empire, to those wars with Insomnia, deaths of Lucius Caelum kings and queens, and etc. He actually helped Noctis became the true King of Light. So technically, he did test Noctis, and Noctis passed the test. So he did do the same thing Bartandalonis was doing. He did do the same thing as Bartandalonis, or how Bartandalonis was trying to actually, get the Lassie to be tested. And same thing with Sid. When Sid Olestein did the final judgment, he was really just trying to test out Type Zero because he knew Type Zero's potential. But no doubt that these three villains are actually really horrible people. These are kind of the people I would never want to have a drink with because, well, I'd be too tempted to punch them in the face. The only difference is at least with Arden, he's nice about it, but he's still a jackass. And still deserves to be ducked in the face. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to say is that, they did horrible things to get their agendas. And the agendas, is a lot like the fal'Cie. And the fal'Cie was to test out the Lassie. Now, it did say in the Fabula Crystallis Novia verse that fal'Cies have their own agenda. Now, Arden would not be in the fal'Cie, considering, he was a Lassie that turned evil. Kind of like Caius. That's why I think that Final Fantasy 13 is directly related to 15, because it's happened in the Fabula Crystallis Novia verse with Caius. Yes, I'm even going to talk about the Final Fantasy 13 spin-offs as well, but what I'm trying to say is that the villains from the Fabula Crystallis Novia's biggest purpose, even indirectly and psychologically, was to test out the l'Cie, to make them stronger and more elevated character than they were in the beginning of the game, because let's just be quite honest, most of Class 0 was kind of whiny. Let's be honest, Lightning, as much as I love you, girl, I love the Louis Vuitton, and you rock that stuff good, but you're a bit whiny in Final Fantasy 13. And Noctis, you didn't even want to do half the stuff you wanted to do. Let's just be quite honest. You know, pretty much to make them better. Even though you may hate Final Fantasy villains, they have made them better. You gotta even admit, even in like Final Fantasy 7, when Sephiroth, you know, makes Cloud acknowledge reality and make him acknowledge he's not Zack. Even though that made Cloud distraught, you gotta thank Sephiroth for making Cloud wake up to the reality. Because let's be quite honest, you can live in a fantasy world all you want. And I guess this is why the title Final Fantasy makes sense, because it's about characters who live in their own fantasy, if you really think about it. You know, the villains, all they do is wake them out of that fantasy. You know, but they're still evil villains. Any of the actions of, especially even the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains, any of their actions are pretty much, well, going to hell type worthy. You know, because let's put it this way, Theroy, the Militestan Empire, has the biggest death count of any Final Fantasy game. Bartolomew's killed his own civilians. Ardyn has cursed the entire world, causing the whole entire world pretty much gets up to the death count of the Militestan Empire. So, but even then, I think psychologically, the biggest thing that they have done is they made their characters better. They made their characters better and stronger and more refined people. And that's what makes the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains good in that aspect. In that one aspect. But I think that I think they're manipulated by the fal'Cie. I think they're all three of them are manipulated by the fal'Cie. Because Bahamut in Final Fantasy 15 is a fal'Cie. And it was Bahamut's fault, no offense, but for Ardyn turning evil by killing Eos, and, you know, not only killing Eos, but giving his brother the power of the King of Light and not him. You know, so it was probably planned without even knowing it. It's probably planned by every single fal'Cie from each game to cause their villains to do what they do. They're actually, all three of them are actually pawns of the fal'Cie. They're all controlled by the fal'Cie in some way or another. Bartolomew's is directly connected to the fal'Cie, and that's why he does what he does. Theroy, you know, he just wants to test military brats with, brats that are l'Cie. And Ardyn, even though he teaches Noctis a little bit, you know, Ardyn's goals actually helped out Noctis without even him realizing it. So that's my whole theory about the purpose of the Fabula Crystallis Novia villains, and may the crystal be with you.